Hey guys. Oop, my hair is just oh. How are you guys doing? This month um is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It's uh the recognition of the positive impact of people with disabilities in American workforce. This is according to the Department of Labor. It is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as well as on the 13th, it's Indigenous People Day. Um, and at the end of the month, it's going to be Halloween. So I decided it's going to be a big kickoff for clearly a lot of things. But yeah, so that's what we're doing or actually talking about. And instead of it being weekly, I'm hoping to do this, or I am going to do this every day so we can stay accountable. I'm still working on putting up Twitch so that maybe if you need an accountability partner or something like that, then we can either connect you with someone um, or we can all just chime in online. But I just want this to be like a space where we're kind of discussing maybe our needs or like if we have any questions that we don't feel secure about. Now I will say that if you don't feel comfortable putting it in the chat, you can send in a private email or a personal message, and I will make sure to get your question answered. If I don't have the answer myself, I will get someone who does have the answer, so don't worry about that. Just please make sure that you get your questions answered. It's really important to me um, that we do that. I know oftentimes we kind of get scared to ask questions. And I've experienced that myself. So, like, this is hopefully just a way for us to kind of overcome that because I do want this to be more of a community where we feel like, you know, we can help each other um, and make each other better as a whole. So that's where we're at right now. I do have like I am going to try and stay on for as long as possible. Like I said, I was hoping for it to be a stream. And I will be moving around because I am still doing like work stuff. But I'm hoping um throughout the day, like, if we have any questions, probably I have to do another one for another because also I'm doing like a little Halloween thing. So I might stop a little bit short, but I will do is try to make this as long as possible for anybody who wants to sit in and connect. And I might peek on, like, come back and do that whole thing. So that's pretty much it. So if you for today, we'll talk about like um well, first I'll talk about my own experiences with employment. I was um I've always known that I wanted, like, if you look at my um about me, I've always wanted to go into medicine. I've always had different interests. And so um, throughout my life, I've kind of tried to curate, if you will, my experiences to tailor that, to kind of try and overcome certain weaknesses that I felt like I had, or to get experiences that I felt I needed. Um, and actually I was gonna have breakfast. But so I did a lot of like when I first started medicine, or not medicine, but when I first started working, my first job was actually with a therapist. Um it was my church back home. There was a lady there that worked as a secretary, Miss Crew, and Mike bought this papaya, so I'm gonna try it. Um, but yeah, so she very nice lady, and she knew that I was interested in medicine, and she decided that this was kind of at the time where they were like trying to transition, I think, some of the records to the computer. I think that's what they were trying to do. Or I think no, they were moving. They were moving to a different office, and she needed help because they had so many. This is before records were online, but like they had so many records, so she needed help, you know, putting them together, getting them packed up. We were kind of entering stuff in the computer because I think they were starting to kind of transition records on there. Um, so yeah. So I worked there for a while, and that allowed me to kind of like go like look at records and understand like kind of like what people are notate in terms of like when you're a therapist, what you deem important in someone's story. Um, so that kind of gave me that experience. Um, at that time, I didn't really get to work directly with that therapist. I um, just worked with the records. And then from there, I wound up working at Movico, which is our old. Did I start? No, I actually did um like holiday. Um, oh, I just forgot I was gonna do this on. No, give me 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so sorry, I smell everything. It's papaya. I think I went down too far because it got a little. It's good overall. It's like sweet, but not too sweet. Okay, anyway. Um, so I worked there, and that I start after that I went to Forever 21. That's what it was. And I worked there for like um the holidays for Christmas. It drove me nuts. It drove me absolutely nuts because I mean like I liked it. I liked the fact that I got to work with clothes and stuff like that. But it drove me absolutely nuts because they had the same music on over and over and over and over again. And I was like, so yeah. Uh, and then after that, there was hmm, there was Movico. And Movico was cool. But actually no, I actually really like Movico. I'm not gonna lie because it was there were like a lot of like well, A, you get free movies. So there was that. But B, you there was just like a lot to do there kind of. Like it was really kind of fun actually. So I recommend like especially if you're a teenager, it's a really good way to get free movies first of all. I don't know if there's a limitation, but like um we like I would finish my shift and then I would just wait afterwards. Like that was just fun to me. I thought that was the funnest thing to do. And I would just hang out there, watch a movie, and then I would go home. So it didn't really seem like working because I liked movies. Um, and then from there, I'm trying to think. After that, I went to Save a Lot. And Save a Lot, I enjoyed working there. Um, Mainly because I got to work on my Spanish. We had many of like the people that came in, they were predominantly Spanish. So I got to work on like speaking to them. Um, and I've always had like a interest in languages. Now I realize like, oh, okay, like I could have did like a linguistics minor, but yeah, that's college. Um, so yeah, so then I had that, and then um while I was in school, I did work throughout high school. Um I was in like different things. So I had my like a school friend. She had like a guys, if you have any questions, like I do want this to kind of be interactive even though I'm telling my story. I want you guys to have if you guys have any questions about work, like any finances, if I can't answer it, I'll be honest with you. I won't be like I'll tell you like I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. Um but I do want us to like lower the barrier to employment. So like just make sure like if you have any questions like to ask me. And again, if you don't feel comfortable asking me in the private chat, which am I looking at? Okay. Um, in the private chat, then I will, I mean, in the public chat, then just ask me um, privately. Um, so, okay. After that, I, sorry, during high school, I did play sports. I played sports a lot. Actually, I played sports throughout my life. Um, and it was mainly softball and soccer, but then like it became just about soccer. And um I played soccer, I ran track, I played flag football. I did basketball for like a minute. Um I realized I like longer distances than I did shorter, so um and then so yeah, so that was that. And I feel like sports provides you like an outlet, like a to like exercise. So I think it's really important that we do like that we acknowledge having extracurriculars even as you get older. um Even as you get older, to have those extracurricular activities, because don't lose your passion. It's a part of life. Like it's your way to be have an outlet and to decompress. So I feel like that's important for people to know. I feel like oftentimes we get so bogged down by like work or school, and it just causes a whole another level of stress. So don't forget to take time for your take time for yourself. um what else? So after like that was pretty much, and then I also took on a leadership position um in high school, um as class president. And I think that's important to also know, is to make sure that you are in leadership, that you are um, in some type of recreational play if you can be, um, and that you kind of communicate with like who you're comfortable with communicating with. Like if you're comfortable communicating with, find a mentor. I will say that. Find a mentor, but then also, connecting with people that are going to have your back, um, because things happen. So I would say like a teacher, if you can find support groups. I was in the AK Academy gyms in my hometown, which is part of like the Alpha Kappa Alpha. They had like a, a kid. Um, and what else? That was pretty much the extent of my high school. I was cool. Like I feel like the more involved you are, the like it helps you to connect with other people, especially when you're um autistic or you have ADHD or you're neurodivergent, or having some commonality through something where you don't have to necessarily have an organic conversation. Like if you're like, "Oh yeah, I we both love soccer." Like a lot of my friends came from that. Um Usually it pertained to like sports, or mainly sports. Like I hung out with a lot of people through sports. Yeah. O- And then like I said, like the AK Academy gyms, I met a few people through that, but like because of my hometown, the way it is, it's a little bit it's smaller. So it was like like everybody already knew each other. Like by the time you get to end of middle school, you kind of like already know mostly everybody. Mm, so that was that. What else? Okay, so then by college, um, I realized I was getting kind of stressed through college, mainly because I wasn't handling things quite as well, right? Like the transition was kind of hard for me. Um, what I'll say I had versus like I said, like you have to have a little bit more of like an organic conversation in college. Um, because you don't know people already. Like that's the hard part of like if you go to a college um out of your hometown. So like if like sorry, I should get back up. So I went to UF or University of Florida for my undergrad and then I transitioned to no, I'm sorry. I I went to UF and then I got a second bachelor's at USF. And um University of Florida was like very hard for me. Like it's a lot larger. It's a lot larger. Um you are kind of like a number there. And at first it was okay because I had I was in a program there. Um I was in a program there that allowed you to essentially like I had a deficit in math. So like essentially that was supposed to kind of help me break up my math so that it was a little bit easier for me to transition because you know you have to take like pre-cal blah blah blah. But I still had a hard time with pre-calculus. So there's that. But yeah, so I went in, I kind of what is it called? Oh, okay. Hi. How are you? I'm sorry. Uh, where are you? Wait, what? Why do I keep doing this? Bye. Oh my god. There was 106 people. Sorry. I need to figure out how to do this. Like, take people because it's like random people on here. Okay, so yeah, so where was I? I don't lost my train of thought. Okay, so so like during college, yeah, it was definitely difficult. Um The first year, the first semester actually, like most people think like, oh yeah, your transition. And if you don't know, like individuals um with autism, it's like kind of hard um for you to transition sometimes. Um and I feel like every time I realized looking back now that every time there was like a transition period, I had like a really hard time with that transition. And it may not happen like immediately. It might be like further down the line. Like it just I did okay with like the initial transition, but then there would be like small, and now I realize like communication issues that I was having a hard time with. Um so I UF the first semester, like I said, was okay, and I think that was because it was a little bit smaller. Like I said, it was, like, only a few students there, and it was over the summer, um, and it was meant to kind of introduce you to the school, work on any deficits. So some people were there for English, other people were there for math. I was there for math. And sorry, I should have reintroduced since I redid this over. But this is like 31 days of accountability, and we're just discussing like anything pertaining to work, finances, how to live healthy, while we are building our careers. So feel free to, like, if you have any questions or anything, you can either send them privately or you can put them in the chat, and I will definitely try to look at the questions as I'm going. Um, but yeah, so at UF, the first semester, I feel like I did okay, but I tried to do the same things that I did in high school because, like, I was I would say, like, an average student in high school. I wasn't, like, the greatest or anything like that. I was a well-rounded student. Like I said, I had done, sports, and I had leadership, I had volunteering and stuff like that, and I think I tried to do the same thing, and I because I wasn't really getting the supports that I probably needed for school, um, or and being in, like, a larger class, like, it was overwhelming, right? Because, like, there's so much going on in a college like, especially when you go to a larger college, it's just a lot going on, it's a lot of commotion. Even when you're taking a test, so you would take a test, there's 100 students, like, in the freshmen because the way that the college or the university kind of works is, like, they have larger classes, and especially in, like, pre-med, like, it's like everybody knows that they're universally classes that are meant to weed out the people who aren't as serious or who just have, like, barriers to g completing the work, right? It may not even necessarily mean that you're not, um, good at the work, it's just that for whatever reason, you couldn't figure out how to learn it at that time. So and if you don't learn how to kind of maneuver around that system, it becomes a lot harder to accomplish that goal. So you'll see a lot of people, they're freshmen and sophomore year, and they're like, I can't do this. Biochemistry is crap, or chemistry is crap, and it's so much for me. And so it it kind of deters a lot of people. Um, and I feel like with with a lot of students of color, a lot of low income students, you can't like really afford like tutors and stuff like that. So it's an even bigger challenge for them. But um, I wound up kind of taking like a lot of the pre courses. So I would take like pre chemistry, pre calculus, whereas other people were taking like going straight, some people were going straight into calculus, which is okay because like if you need that stepping stool, you need to utilize it. Um, so the first semester wasn't bad. I did actually didn't have my car. I would either walk or I would take the bus system around, and I lived on campus. Um, and I think I actually talk about this on one of my videos, but like I wound up living in one of the honor halls, not because I was an honor student, but because at the time that's where they wanted to have the students. I think it was because it was kind of centrally located. It was close to Tressler, which is like the location where you have all of your like the student union and all that stuff there. There was like the cafeteria places, not necessarily cafeteria, but like the eateries and stuff like that there. So that was close by. They had tennis courts close by. And then my classes happened to be on the other side of the campus. And y'all, like it was so annoying because it would rain at the same time every day. Like it was bonkers. Um, and was right as I got out of class. Um, so yeah, that was the experience my first and second semester, because technically my second semester would have been someone else's first semester. Um, and then, like I said, that transition, looking back now, probably was more about transitioning into like that larger class and being like overwhelmed and then tacking on like several classes, and I was like, oh, okay, like I did okay. um I tried to like challenge myself, and that's something that we'll discuss later on. Like, I even now, like I try to challenge myself with different ways to kind of encourage me to like study certain things. But so by like my third, fourth, like as I was going on, it became a lot more challenging for me to like kind of navigate through the University of Florida. And I think that was because a couple of things had happened. I had, kind of worked I was working a lot because my mom's a single mom, and I didn't feel comfortable relying totally on her, but my financial aid didn't cover everything. Um, and so I worked. I didn't want to take out I don't think I took out any loans until like my second or third semester. I want to say my third or fourth maybe. I didn't have um no, I don't think I graduated with very little like loans from undergrad. After that is a totally different thing. Maybe I didn't have any. I have to check. Maybe I have a few, sorry. Um no, I did. I did. Um but I was trying to keep that as low as possible because it's just a lot. Like when you have to pay it back, like it's all fun and games as you're taking it, but like later on down the line, it's like you have to pay that back, and then it becomes interest, and then as you transition, right, like going into adult life, you you start learning like, oh, okay, well, I have to tack on, I have to make sure I have insurance. I have to make sure, I have a car for transportation depending on where you are. Like if you're up north, it's a little bit easier, but like the transportation here, the public transportation is trash. It's still trash here. Um and so you kind of there's a necessity for a vehicle. Um you have food and stuff like that. So like when you talk about tacking on an extra bill just to pay back an education that you may or may not be using, it's it's a lot. Like, it can be overwhelming. So, like, if I and this is something that will probably be a reoccurring theme as we move forward, but, like, make sure you try to take as little out as possible, um, especially in undergrad. It's okay to invest yourself, but, like, invest yourself through scholarships, through, there's a military, if you're comfortable with that, there is, reach out to these organizations. Sometimes they have different scholarships that you may not even fathom that they have, and people don't know because they're not really publicized. Um, so look into that. And so I would say, um, do that, like, really. And I know it can get challenging. It really can get challenging, especially when you're in the thick of things. That's why when you're in high school, like that's the time to and like invest that time with your family, sit down and look up stuff. Um, yeah. So that was like my time from like and I did undergrad in 5 years. So because I started like really trying to just like, oh, I like this. Oh, classical music. Like it became just like a whole like exploration, which is great. Like it's great to explore, but then it costs money to explore. So um it's okay. Like it's okay to explore. It's just remember the cost of exploration. If anything, like also take advantage of like those programs where like I know some of the high schools have programs where you can start your undergrad in high school. Take advantage of that. Like I really wish I had taken advantage of that. Um, my high school had like a program that would allow you to get your CNA or your LPN. I think that was either after I left, but like take advantage of those programs because then if you need to, like especially in healthcare, you can take advantage of like working a little bit and still making a decent income enough to like maybe cover cost of living or something like that. Working on campus, just anything because you don't want to graduate with too much debt. Like that puts a lot of people in a bind. So, yeah, I know I keep harping on this, but like I just want to like put that in your brain for real. Um, what else? Um, so then, yeah. So second year to like, I guess, yeah, like second, third, and fourth year, like I said, I had worked so much. Like honestly, I didn't even go to a football game. Like I was not about student life. I was literally just working and going to school and trying to like salvage my experience as much as possible. Um, so let's see, I took courses that like I kind of got interested in, but I didn't start taking those in like fourth and fifth semester when you probably should have already known what you're going to do, right? Like I should have been taking some of those courses like in maybe my first year or second year, but um, I did start taking classes that I just enjoy. Like I love classical music. Um, I took I didn't take a linguistics, but I started to really enjoy anthropology. So I took a few classes in anthropology. Um, what else? I was going to take an arts class. I started taking like yeah, I took a few women's classes, um, women's studies, um, just things that I started to realize like, oh, this is of interest to me. Like I want to explore, but I by that time like I was kind of like they were kind of like, girl, you need to go get out of school. So, but yeah, don't take that time to like explore for yourself. So then by that was pretty much second through fourth. I mean, yes, second through fifth ish year. Um, I just kind of like was working. I would work at Sprint. I worked at Sprint for a while. Um, and there I kind of learned sales, understanding metrics in terms of like, trying to encourage people to like sell as much as possible. And even though that wasn't something that I expected to do, it was helpful for me because um, you'll realize like as you get older, that's literally all you're going to do. Like, even if you're trying to get a career, all you're doing is trying to sell yourself. You're either selling a product or you're selling yourself. So, um, finding like a position, and I know sometimes it's annoying, but like finding a position where you're like selling something, you don't have to do it all the time. But I would say like you don't have to do it for a long time, but I would say like do it for maybe a few months if you have space and like preferably on the summer. Like I think like if I were to have done it differently, I would have found an internship where I could have explored like marketing and sales and stuff like that. I think that's important. um and then what else? So then from I did also work at a nursing home, which was I would work overnight, which probably wasn't the greatest idea, but it was easy because like it accommodated um my schedule at the time. But then like it throws you off in terms of like sometimes like if you have to like pick and choose like what days you're going to do that if you're like um working or and have a test the next day, like that doesn't make sense because then you're going to be tired, which I did try and do. Fun fact. Um, so yeah. So then after that, like I said, I feel like with your college experience, if you're going to take on jobs that are going to be meaningful to you. Like I said, like maybe internships, doing programs which teach you something. Um, it may not be directly correlated, but it's going to show you and experience something. And then once I transitioned, I graduated from UF. I know I'm being like a little vague, but like, I graduated from UF and then I transitioned because like, to be honest, like did not do well with like the science courses there. And I strongly believe like it was partially because I didn't have the support that I needed, but then also I just like there was just so many students in the court class, and I for people who may be neurotypical or like may not have these experiences, because I'm autistic and I have ADHD, like everything can be a lot, like certain noises can be a lot, like, and back then things weren't on really a computer. Sometimes you would do like a um we had scantrons, which I don't know if you guys are still doing scantrons, but like, you're filling in a scantron. I like literally the noise from the pencil would bother me. People would come in late, even though, you're not supposed to. Um, People would come in late. So like the door swinging back, or the opposite, people would finish their exam, and they would swing the door open, and it would be super loud, like just like little things that people don't think about. When you turn the scantron around over, I could hear like the sound of the paper like on the desk, and people like they're adjusting themselves in their chair, like all of that. It like that's what I'm hearing as I'm trying to take an exam, so it might as well have been similar to someone screaming in my ear. Like that's the extent of it. Um so like I didn't do the best there. It was more my stubbornness to like want to finish, because and I think this is still a problem at UF, but like the retention rate for Black students was really low, and the person that had told me about um University of Florida, actually she left. And so I was like, I was being stubborn, and like I was like, I'm not leaving, even though I didn't have like the support that I probably needed. Like I'm not leaving. Um I'm going to kind of finish this out however I can. And that's essentially what I did. Um so yeah. Sorry, I'm like still looking at. So yeah, that was pretty much the extent of the UF and UF experience. Maybe I will stop there because I want to like kind of make sure I tease out anything else. The rest of it will be like my career post undergrad, which was more schooling and than a job. But yeah, I will stop there, and then we'll continue tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Hmm. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later.